Urgency, emergency. Outside my bedroom window, it was pouring, and all my family was in bed snoring. Yet I was awakened, and yes, a bit shaken, for the total attention of my right ear had been taken. As it was the middle of the night, with no person in sight, I began to hear a soft whisper, like that of a small twister. Flowing into my right ear were words that were soft, but yet so very clear, of revelations that I will now hold forever so dear. And at the time I did not know, my seeds of prayers that I had previously sown had now manifested and were now full grown, as I had now entered the spiritual realm of the unknown. And now yesterday, today, and forever mind blown. As prior to this, I was getting up at 6, spending alone time with God, submitting myself under the power of his rod, standing alone only to release praise and applaud, for he is my God, and deserves daily more than that of just a nonchalant head nod. And in this alone time with him, I had prayed and believed for family members' reprieve, and for friends whom had grieved, and for all those still lost whom often misperceive that Satan still deceives and continuously thieves. I had also done some crying while providing my sole attention in these personal conventions with him, specifically asking for a more personal experience on a different dimension while remaining only an extension of him. And with nothing but faith, I continued trusting God's timing, continuing my days, first rising, then grinding on my 9 to 5, and days ending with my love of poetry and rhyming. And though I recognized I served a God whom preserves, whom I don't deserve, I also served a God who cares. So the experience I'm about to share for me is one that is extremely rare. And when it initially happened, I was not prepared. But he looked over my inexperience, or that I might be scared, and instead answered my heart's humble prayer. For he is truly omnipresent and can present himself anywhere, truly debonair, while politely pulling up a chair and then consuming any atmosphere. And so it became early morning on the start of a hurricane, as my body lay lame on that of a bed frame, the answer to a personal prayer came. For I am not ashamed for the telling of this true story, as this is not about me, but God's power and him receiving the glory. Because God's Spirit fell on me as to what can only be described as that of a wet mist at the start of rain, but then flowing quickly like that of wheels on a train. Of his revelations on track were en route only, destined and designed to enter my brain. And though outside was pouring, and husband still snoring, a small, still voice was whispering so many words to me, yet a figure I could not see, as my head shook quietly, as whispers continued silently, for it was a beautiful flow of words, all ending in rhyme, and even in my prime, my mind's mountain could never conquer and or climb, leaving only body and mind truly sublime. For the fact was that my digital clock read 3, yet a supernatural force that I couldn't see had now collided with the Holy Spirit that abided in me. And my mind was now free, as words buzzed like that of a bee, yet falling slowly like fall leaves from a bare tree. There was so much to consume, words flowing out of me into me like that of a flume, yet so sweet like words from a bride to her groom. And if words written could probably fill a small room. You asked to be my vessel, now deliver this message. My people are going to hell. Words ringing like that of a bell. I'm now losing all rationale. For I was now frozen, for I had been chosen. Body was now erosen. And now in the dead of night, I was somewhat frightened, brown eyes yet brightened, and curiosity now heightened. For I had been spiritually enlightened. My grip now tightened the railing, as bedroom I was now bailing, making my way down to my living room, given away for spirit to now full bloom, awaiting to resume. I sat down on couch with pen now in hand, not sure if voice was woman or man. Then, as if on command, my neighbor's car alarm started screeching like that of a band. Urgency, emergency were the words then repeated several times. And though I tried multiple times to deny my mind of what I was hearing inside, I couldn't. So I instead decided to capture the warnings of rapture. Urgency, emergency was then repeated as I remained seated. This phrase only now continued and repeated with no retreating, and now forever concreted, buried in my ear. And though still dazed, I was now both intrigued and also amazed. And now with no apprehension, but only my sole attention was to the Holy Spirit, whom was now depositing only truth into my unknown spiritual pension. attention now 100% vested, never to be contested, as I continued to receive an outpouring of his oil, which was now adorning my subconscious's mind flooring, whom's results causing only a shining of that in all of his glory, with that of a roaring and a stern warning to all, of urgency, emergency. With pen in hand, I began writing, rigorously and deliberately, and then slowing meticulously, as not wanting nothing more than to remain unequivocally clear to all those whom would allow their hearts to hear, as my eyes now filled with tears, as these words of urgency, emergency are to be taken seriously, as I believe I received nothing more in this early morning, a forewarning, a release of God's morning for the world. I am forever humbled and thankful for what was revealed, as layers of my destiny in that moment was also unpeeled, and for access to a kingdom that for me had been sealed. Because for me personally, it was a moment in time where the Holy Spirit was now a poet providing me with his rhyme of early warnings of end times. And with me as a self-proclaimed Christian poet, whom would never claim to know it all, I recognized that I had asked humbly for God to use me in any way he saw fit, in any way, whether it be big or small, knowing always in faith that he would answer any humble servant's heart's call. So after this experience, I wanted to know more, soon opening true wisdom's door, his word. As I wanted a fresh perspective and his words to be effective, I was led and then read his word. My eyes searched his word patiently, like on tour, landing finally on what Jesus had previously sworn. Reading now words were that of Matthew 24. Each sentence my eyes explored, a yearning for more, like never before. As Jesus made promises of what would be, speaking of warnings and what the world would see. The love of many believers growing cold, the rise of false prophets and false teachings, traditional morals becoming less accepted, wars and national conflicts, earthquakes and other natural disasters in various places, people abandoning their Christian faith, anti-Semitism towards Jewish people worldwide, and then famines. Now is the time for us to all re-examine of where we stand today with religion and Christ and with eternity, to not gamble, bet by throwing a dice on any man's life. For me, I am extremely thankful for this particular morning in which I encountered the Holy Spirit's pouring. As the Holy Spirit saw fit with me to equip and anoint my lips with words from his script, with an urgent message. And with this message, it is my hope to only encourage those that may be saved, or for those that may have strayed, or for those that have disobeyed, or for those that have chosen to masquerade and degrade, believing Christianity is just a game. I promise you it's not. Ending you with this final thought, that my God is a gentleman who still dates, who yet won't stand and debate, but instead chooses to wait at all man's heart's gate, leaving it open for any sinful man to escape. My God is a loving God and does not care about where you've been or any past sins. My God is a powerful God, bringing down any strongholds, removing and then tossing all blindfolds of the young and the old. For all were created on purpose and for a life of continued surplus. And though I'm still astounded, the alarm has been sounded, because the reality is we all have free will, and with that comes a choice of how to use one's influence and their voice. But regardless of beliefs, there will come the day when all will confess with bowed knees and say, all on one accord, that Jesus Christ alone is Lord. Be blessed.